Why do you want samsara? Isn't it unnecessary or even dangerous? There is an opinion that samsara is slavery for the soul, something you need to escape from, that you need to remove all karmic knots and attachments from yourself. Then you will be free. I've had clients come to me with similar requests. I possess clairvoyance and can enter different holes of the universe. And I have been to that realm as well. I know what is there. There is a black vacuum there. There is emptiness. If you think there is a better life waiting out there, you will find that it is not there. All life, all self-awareness, and all souls exist within this so-called samsara. Once you go beyond the boundaries of samsara, you become just like a digital character who has fallen out of the computer. There, you are no longer recognized as a person, and you cannot return, because that is how the structure works there. Exiting samsara means the destruction of your soul.
In fact, there is a grain of truth in it, but it's not as simple as one would like. Naturally, I have also personally traveled to many different vast parts of our incredible universe, and even far beyond its distant boundaries, and I certainly have quite a few important things to say about this entire fascinating process. So, the idea is that this urge to break free from samsara while still being passionate, while still being deeply attached to things here, and while still having many responsibilities, is indeed a very complex and highly questionable endeavor to undertake. Absolutely right. When a person persistently and stubbornly attempts with all their might to escape from these cartoons, yes, it is all cartoons, I absolutely agree with her. So when a person stubbornly pushes through and falls out of these cartoons, far beyond the very boundaries and limits of this computer game, well, maybe it is not just a computer game, it is a divine game, but it is still a game. They find themselves in a vast space that is perceived as a profound state of total emptiness and absolute darkness. When I eventually ended up there myself, I got there by any means necessary, because I was an absolutely stubborn individual, a dedicated practitioner, and at that time, I was still operating outside of any established tradition. I was using various other techniques. I used out-of-body techniques, and thanks to that, I finally broke through into that space. And that's exactly right, I found myself in absolute emptiness. And it's not just being in absolute emptiness, I saw myself fading away, withering, and I started to forget entirely how I got there, what my name was, what I was doing there. In other words, I just began to fall apart there. But since I had a physical body, it pulled me back like on suspenders, and I found myself inside again. Inside these cartoons, inside the circle of samsara. And for a long time, that wouldn't let me go. It wouldn't give me peace. I seriously wondered, what's the point of striving there if it's empty? Why do I need that if I can get a ton of pleasure, enjoy life here? But the very fact, even the act of experiencing that state personally still wouldn't give me any true peace. It simply wouldn't let me go. And it was only after some time when I finally found a teacher for myself, Ashan, and when I was formally initiated into the tradition, when I went through many different practices, techniques, various exercises and initiations, and when I finally received the sacred practices of Shiantra and practiced the Shiantra techniques, that suddenly I developed other profound abilities. I discovered new abilities to perceive things within that vast space, which previously had seemed entirely empty and void to me. And so, when I eventually ended up there once again, this time already being highly trained, properly initiated and fully aware, and having a profound spiritual process like Sri Yantra integrated into my personal experience, I found that when I entered that sacred space with such an extensive arsenal of knowledge and refined abilities, everything changed. What I truly witnessed and saw, first of all, was that it was not darkness or mere emptiness at all, but rather that everything existing there was vibrantly alive and fully conscious. I saw this vast, infinite pattern of reality, which continuously self-generates and folds back into itself, much like a complex multidimensional kaleidoscope. I observed it from the outside. I saw where all of this originates from. I perceived I could shift my attention there. I was able to maintain my sense of self. I did not fall apart as a personality. I was fully aware that I sat down to practice, I trained, and I succeeded. And now I am in this space. I am perceiving, and I have been here before. It used to be emptiness and darkness. I used to fall apart. Now I feel whole here. Everything is fine with me. I am observing reality. I am observing the primary sources. I am observing this living darkness, this emptiness, which used to seem like nothing to me. Now I perceive it as being the most sacred, the very deepest essence of the entire universe. Right now, I am talking about Adikal, about the primordial chaos in which all of this manifested. There, I was absolutely free in my right to choose where I looked. That is, there I was a completely different being, not this fading, unclear something that jumped in there by any means possible. That's what it's like there. And when I visited that specific location, already being a fully trained practitioner, I said, oh wow, I really want to be there. It's a cool place and it's truly great. There, such scales of perception open up that you could never ever reach here in your life. The physical body simply doesn't have those specific functions. So yes, if for now you're truly satisfied and content with the experiences these cartoons are filled with, if you're satisfied and content with the thrill of driving fast, traveling somewhere like the Maldives, having a wad of cash right there in your hands, so if that's enough for you, if you're fine with it, then go ahead and enjoy it. No one is against it. Even the gods play their own games. Even the gods are immersed in cartoons. Yes, that's all true. But if for some deeply personal reason you find yourself unable to stop thinking about the transcendent nature of reality or about what truly lies beyond the limits of this space, then within the game you can train your mind and spirit to such a profound extent that this space will no longer feel empty to you, ensuring that in this space you won't simply dissolve away and disappear into the void. There you will be absolutely conscious, active, and perfect. The range of perception that opens up to you there is truly incomparable to anything else. It is colossal. That's why when I got there, already having practiced, I made a definite decision that I would move in that direction no matter what and against all odds. It became my goal. And now I am doing everything I know, everything I am capable of, in order to prepare myself as thoroughly as possible to enter that state. And I am trying to take my physical body with me as well. That is, to realize the body of light, and my personality too. I will remember that yes, I was born to such and such a father and mother. I was raised in such and such a kindergarten. It was during this period that I began to practice. I will remember all of this, I will keep it all for myself. I want to go there as whole as possible, to take all of myself with me. That is my goal. That is what freedom means to me. When you leave the game, but you haven't lost perception or memory. This fascinates me, it motivates me, it defines my life, it defines my practices. It's exhilarating. But it's absolutely true when I got there. Without any practices, without any knowledge, just on sheer willpower, on sheer stubbornness, I saw emptiness there and really started to wonder, what am I even doing here? Why did I push my way in here? That happened too.
So, when you finally break free from samsara, you are completely removed from the cycle of the game, right? The creator no longer perceives and observes you as someone leaving this game. So you are already separate, a separately existing being. Is that how you would put it? Or how does it work then?
No such thing as you and the creator there. You are the creator. It's not as obvious as it might seem, but in that state, you are the original being. You possess and utilize all of his abilities because you are him. You are quite literally the original one who has stepped away from the game. And you look at all of this from the outside.
But then why don't you merge with him and instead observe separately, being apart from him?
You're him. Who would you even merge with there? You were about to. Look, you're operating with concepts from the physical world. You're born, and that's it. You're two different beings. But there, it's different. You are that from the beginning. Nothing to merge with. You are already him. You're not even separated. You are simply him, and he is you. You and he are one and the same. It's just that you've turned your radars, your perception, from being immersed in cartoons to being immersed in yourself. In that moment, you are Shiva.
You mentioned the existence of extraordinary and enlightened beings called rishis. These are beings who stand completely apart from the world, silently observing the vast and intricate play, the eternal cycle of samsara. So why don't these rishis gather into a single point when the entire universe comes together during that flash? When the universe comes into being and then the universe contracts? Why don't they, along with this whole play, eventually gather into that one single point and completely vanish from sight?
Because they are cut off from the creator. They are no longer him. And so, in my own madness, I constantly strive and struggle to do the same. But I haven't done it yet, so I'm actively searching for him. And when I enter a state of the most profound and deepest immersion into space, Bardo through Bin, he and I are truly one and the very same eternal being, and our perception is absolutely identical. Yes, and he has many levels of immersion. I am ready to admit to everyone right now that I do not go to the deepest level of his abilities. But as of today, he and I are still one being. Rishis, they are entirely and completely independent and separate from him. And the ability to realize this is something I still have yet to fully comprehend and understand or master. I need to teach him and he needs to train. So I continue to stay in the cartoon, while moving toward a state of total and absolute freedom and independence. This is something that is absolutely undeniably and profoundly real. I'm doing it.
95% of people don't even realize that within them lies a power that grants access to any possibility, a successful business, strong relationships, health, and self-fulfillment. It allows you to hear your soul and remember your true nature, your divine nature. This power is your energy. When it is blocked, you feel tired and upset. But when your energy flows freely and without obstacles, you are full of strength and capable of achieving any goal. Everyone can feel the movement of energy in their body. Are you ready to see this for yourself right now? I've prepared a practice where, in just 3 minutes, you'll become aware of the state of your energy and be able to activate the inner power that has been blocked for many years. The practice is available for a limited time. Right now, follow the link provided below the video and unlock the incredible source of power within yourself.
Can we talk about the body of light? It's a fascinating and popular subject right now. Many people are discussing it today, and it's universally intriguing to consider. What is it? How does it happen? And how is it even possible that all the particles of the body agree to disappear from this world and turn into pure energy? Could you please explain the process itself? It's really interesting.
Well, if we look at our physical body, from a physics perspective, there's more emptiness in us than matter. Between atoms, there's an entire cosmos. The distance between atoms is vast. It's just that we perceive each other as something substantial and physically solid. But from the point of view of the physical world, we're nothing more than walking emptiness, just a mere tiny outline. But if we're talking about attaining the body of light, then it's simply a return to our original state. Just try to imagine as a simple example. There's a star where hydrogen is burning. Someday this star will eventually explode and scatter its matter throughout the vast universe. Somewhere this matter will begin to concentrate and condense once more. And in the end, it will first become plasma, then vapor, and then liquid. And then somewhere, it will finally freeze. And now it's quite a specific material chunk, something solid and cold, even though it used to be a star. It's the same here. There is an original state, the primary cause of everything, the creator, the original state of the creator, and the original state of the source. By spreading itself across many forms and many manifestations, it materializes in a coarser way, and eventually manifests itself into the actual state of the physical world. But no one forbids us from reversing these processes. We even have parts where we don't need to reverse these processes. They have remained in their original state within us. This is how I am showing you these processes. We also have processes that have crystallized to such an extent that they can even make sounds by striking against each other. But that doesn't mean it's a sentence. All of this can also be reversed. There are techniques, there are practices that allow this to be done. That is, to bring every particle of your body to the state of the original creator, to pure consciousness. To return all of this back. Take this piece of ice and slowly start to melt it, to heat it up, to thaw it. First to the state of liquid, then to the state of vapor, then to the state of plasma, and then all of this will merge into wholeness. Because in the state of plasma, whatever we do, it will all be practically identical. We can bring a piece of steel to the state of plasma, we can bring a bit of fluff to the state of plasma, we can bring a drop of water to the state of plasma, and it will all be absolutely identical to each other. It will merge into wholeness. Now humanity is mastering these mechanisms in every way. These mechanisms are nothing other than the creation of a thermonuclear reactor. That is, a reactor where these particles are joined together. They are, of course, joined together by force. And because of this, a huge amount of energy is produced. Humanity has not yet mastered these processes sufficiently, but sooner or later it will. And according to these same principles, we can transform our physical body not just into pure energy, as happens in a nuclear reactor, but we can transform it into pure consciousness. That is, become like the primordial. This is what is called the body of light.
Is there any kind of reverse process? Like when you have already become the creator united with this primordial essence, can you become aware there and fully recall the realization that you were once a fragment of consciousness and somehow find a way to return to that state, the previous one? Separate yourself again? Is such a process possible?
You are the creator. Again, who are you trying to unite with?
As if to make its way back to the samsara.
Look, let me explain. You sat down at the computer. You are a human being. You sat down at the computer. You put on a virtual reality headset. There, you are some little square running around and hitting other squares with a pickaxe. And this little square person, running around and hitting other squares with a pickaxe, says, listen, I want to unite with the human. Well, that's a cartoon. And the one who is observing, meaning you in those virtual reality glasses, you remain the same as you were. Who are you trying to unite with there? It's exactly the same thing. You are the original consciousness. Who, by putting on this world, this reality? Well, right now you're currently playing a specific character called, let's say, Anton. That doesn't stop you from being the original.
So you just wake up and all of a sudden realize that you are actually him, right?
Of course. And when the original stops playing you as a character, the probability that he will remember you diminishes until it approaches zero. Because it's like watching a dream. He doesn't stop being the original. He doesn't stop being the fullness. You're asking, is it possible somehow to reach the state of Anton again? It's possible. But who will be doing that? So if Anton, being the original person sitting there in those immersive virtual reality glasses, wants to preserve himself and finally free himself from the character, and wants to see the original in all his glory, while already not being the original anymore, he will have to put in an incredible amount of effort and work really, really hard. And he does work hard. And that's what motivates him. At this very moment, I'm talking about myself. There are specific types of spiritual practices, there are specific exercises, and there are certain technologies that enable a person, while being a character through whom the original is looking, to fully preserve oneself and to keep the original within, and to remain completely independent and free, and to connect not with the original anymore, but with Kali, with Adikali, with the space of chaos, with the eternal. And all of this exists, but none of this works at the snap of a finger. It's an entire journey. I understand.
Right now, there's a lot of information about the need to escape samsara. It feels like someone wants to implant this idea in us, and as if maybe someone benefits from it. Don't you think so?
It does seem that way. That's just how the psyche works. Look, these ancient teachings, these teachings are over 5,000 years old, talking about samsara, about the fundamental fact that you can get out of it, about finding a way. Each of us is Mahadev. All of this is well known. All of this has existed for a very long time. There were priests in the ancient times of the past. There were Brahmins, you can refer to them by whatever name you prefer, sages, in other words. All of this has been present and enduring from millennium to millennium. It's just that when a person starts asking deep questions about this, they begin to encounter these profound truths for themselves. And it seems to them that only now people have started talking about it. No, it has actually always been there. And it has always been spoken about. It is exactly the same thing, for example, when you are riding the bus, the subway, or the commuter train. And you simply couldn't care less about what cars are out there. But at some specific point, you set yourself the goal of buying a car. You get your driver's license, study the entire car market, choose a perfectly suitable model, and make the final decision to buy, say, a BMW. And then it suddenly seems to you that absolutely everyone on the road is driving a BMW. Why? Because you start paying attention to it. Suddenly, there are BMWs everywhere around you. Why? Because your brain picks up on it because that's what you're focused on. And you get the feeling that it's everywhere. It was always there. You just didn't notice it. That's why a person who gets into esotericism, who starts searching for the meaning of life, naturally begins to see it everywhere. These pieces of advice popping up from samsara. But they have always been there 1,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, and even earlier. It's just that nothing has survived about it, no written records.
Thank you for your answers. It was very interesting to talk with you.